Welcome. Yes, welcome. I'd like to call this January 25th, 2021 council meeting to order. If you would please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Will the clerk please call the roll?
Shields.
Here.
Simpson.
Here.
Coyne.
Here.
Hazeltine.
Present.
Heffinger.
Here.
Lamb.
Here.
Rose.
Here. Reading of the minutes.
Mr. President,
Mr. Shields.
I will make a motion that the minutes of the regular meeting of January 11, 2021, as prepared and submitted by the clerk, be approved.
Second.
Discussion on the approval of the minutes. Will the clerk please call the roll on the approval of the minutes?
Simpson.
Yes.
Coyne.
Yes.
Hazeltine.
Yes.
Heffinger.
Yes.
Lamb.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Shields.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Reports of standing committees. The Finance Committee met prior to the council meeting and will again meet in 2 weeks prior to the next council meeting. Health, Safety, and Sanitation, Mr. Simpson.
Thank you, Mr. President. No meeting scheduled, nothing to report. Although I am planning after the new fire chief is appointed, probably sometime in late February or March, that we will schedule a meeting at that time. Thank you.
Thank you. Public Properties, Mr. Shields.
Thank you, Mr. President. No meeting scheduled, no report this evening.
Special Legislation, Mr. Lamb.
Thank you, Mr. President. No meeting scheduled and nothing to report.
Streets and Sidewalks, Mr. Heffinger.
Thank you, Mr. President. No meeting scheduled and nothing to discuss right now.
Thank you. Water and Utilities, Mrs. Hazeltine.
Thank you, Mr. President. Nothing new to report and no meeting scheduled at this time.
Thank you. Emerging Technologies, Mr. Rose.
Thank you, Mr. President. No meeting scheduled. However, I can report that the Finance Director has been working with SSI to delineate what modules provide what things that we're currently use. And I've asked Keith to try to schedule a meeting for next week with the vendor so we can go through and make sure we have everything right so we can move forward with this. Thank you.
Thank you. Reports of Municipal Officers, Mayor Hamwell.
Thank you, Mr. President. For those viewing that may not have seen the first council meeting in January, you can see that the space has been renovated. The pit is no longer here at City Hall, and the cleaning and disinfecting with the COVID is much easier in this space. I'd like to thank Nino, Dan Gladish, and Patrick for their work on this in a short amount of time. COVID-19, Medina County remains in red level. We're asking the public to remain vigilant with avoiding large gatherings, wearing masks in public, washing hands frequently, and social distancing. Updated information on business openings, safety protocols, etc. are on the City and Medina County Health Department website. The curfew remains in place by the governor from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. with exceptions of employment, health care, caring for others or pets, obtaining groceries, or other essential tasks. We're recommending the public go to www.medina.lit altogether.net, and if you complete a survey that will help the city be able to bring fiber with the county fiber system into the city, and they're currently doing the southern part of the county through Guilford Township, which is just south of Montville. Their next plan is to come through Montville, Medina City, and Medina Township, provided we can get enough folks to take this survey. And the advantage of that is then a number of different vendors can get on the county fiber ring and create needed competition that we don't have today. Christmas lights will stay on until February 22nd. January and early February is to honor our first responders, healthcare workers, and in remembrance of those we've lost as a result of COVID. And then from February 19th to the 22nd will be to coincide with our annual Ice Festival. Martin Luther King celebration was held a week ago, and I'd like to thank Council members Simpson and Rose for attending, as well as Finance Director Keith Durham. It was also shown, and I believe is recorded on the Cornerstone Chapel website, if anybody would like to see that. Some of the other churches may have it as well. I'm just more familiar with Cornerstones. January 24th to 30th will be designated as School Choice Week in Medina to honor the choices of public schools, private schools, homeschooling, and open enrollment opportunities in our community. The Ice Festival is a little earlier this week. It's February 19th to 27th. And the administration met with them last week. They will not be having the demonstrations they normally have because they don't want to draw the large crowds for that. But they have just as many sponsored carvings. We've decided to have the four corners be one way going towards the gazebo, and then all the center ones in between each of the corners be the exits, so you don't have people passing each other on the sidewalk. They also have designed and will post on A-frames from the city all the COVID reminders that you must wear a mask, please socially distance. They're going to have hand sanitation stations there. So we ask them to share that with the health department, but we're hoping that we can still have a successful ice festival, just not as many of the activities that draw the crowds, for sure not the fire and ice that we have over on the square, because again, everybody gathers around it, and we didn't want to take that risk. The Community Investment Corporation for the city recently awarded Liberty View to Rose Properties, which is going to be the area from Sully's patio over to where the Porter's currently is. That will be taken down. And what they plan to erect there is 47,000 square feet building at a value of about $9.3 million that will include 3 floors of apartments, 39 total apartments, some one bedroom, 2 bedroom, and studio. And then on the lowest level is 9,100 square foot space of ground level storefronts, which are much desired in our historic district and will be a great addition, as well as having more opportunities. Our comprehensive downtown plan talked about housing, which was added at the old chamber site. We added 5. We added 2 floors of apartments, or the developer did 2 floors of apartments at the old Farmers Exchange, and now this is another 39. And the more folks we can draw to the downtown, number one, it's because we don't have land to build houses here in the city. It's more income tax for the residents, more property tax, more income tax for the city, more property tax, as well as letting more people enjoy the amenities of our square. And then last but not least, the city here of late has had a number of fires that seem to be progressively worse in severity. Some were property damage only. We had one a couple blocks from City Hall here on West Friendship Street that started in a garage, lit a car on fire in the driveway, lit the house of the driveway, and then even scorched the house next door. There were 2 injuries that required hospitalization as a result of that. That's still under investigation. And then just this past Sunday morning at about 5 a.m., we had a fire out at Brooktail Mobile Home Park where we had a fatality of an elderly person. I share this with the public watching and would encourage everybody to check your smoke detectors and make sure that they're working properly, that the batteries are good in them, because many times people alerted in early enough can either get the fire out or get their family out to avoid such tragedies from happening. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Durham, Director of Finance.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to remind all residents that the city of Medina does have an income tax. We have that collected for us by RITA. They're available at ritaohio.com, and the forms and so on are available there.
Thank you. Chief Kinney, Police Department.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have no report this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Huber, Law Director.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have no report.
Mr. Mendel, Community Planning Director.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have no report this evening.
Mr. Fry, Cable Department.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just to follow up a little bit on the mayor, we are working on the technical side of this rotunda project, and it's coming along nicely. I'd say we're probably about 80% of the way done. Just a few more items to add to help enhance this area technology-wise. And it's been a good project to work on. I want to thank Nino and Pat and Dan Gladish for all their help in assisting us with getting that install done. And then the only other thing I have, too, if you have a moment to check out one of our employees, Miles Reed, did a documentary on the porters. It's really nicely done. If you haven't had a chance to check that out, you can catch it on our Medina TV's Facebook page or on Channel 37.
Thank you. Mr. Patton, City Engineer.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have no report this evening.
Mr. Piccoli, Service Director.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have no report either this evening. Thank you.
Mrs. Marshall, Economic Development Director.
Thank you, Mr. President. As the mayor referenced, our Medina City Development Corporation project was awarded to the Rose Company. And we are very excited about that because that project is in our TIF district, and those property tax payments will help pay off the parking deck. So we're excited to get that off the ground. Thank you.
Thank you. And we have a new addition. As you know, Nancy Abbott retired as the Medina Municipal Clerk of Courts, and now we have Joe Salsgiber as the new Medina Clerk of the Municipal Court. Joe?
Thank you, Mr. President. As you know, I was appointed to replace Nancy Abbott as the Medina Municipal Court Clerk. I was sworn in on January 12th, the day after your last council meeting, so I wanted to make sure I got here at your next council meeting to introduce myself. I just want to say, having served in the past here in Medina City as a prosecutor, it's an honor to be back working with the city. My priorities are budget permitting, to get e-filing of traffic and misdemeanor complaints up and running by the 10 law enforcement agencies that are part of the Medina Court District, and eventually to proceed to e-filing by attorneys. The technology is already there, so I need to get buy-in from the police agencies themselves. I plan to meet with the Police Chiefs Association later this week, and then from there it's determined the feasibility based on our budget constraints.
Thank you, and welcome.
Welcome.
You'll enjoy the budget process. Okay, we got confirmation of County Board of Appointments. We have Nowaka, Patrick Patton for a term expiring 12/31/21, and for McDack, we have Chief Kinney for the Police Chief for a term expiring 12/31/21.
Move to confirm the appointments.
Second.
Any discussion on the appointments? Will the clerk please call the roll on the confirmation of the County Board appointments?
Coyne,
Yes.
Hazeltine,
Yes.
Heffinger,
Yes.
Lamb,
Yes.
Rose,
Yes.
Fields,
Yes.
Simpson.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Notices, communication, petitions, there are none. Unfinished business, there's none. Introduction of visitors. Members of the public will be permitted the opportunity to speak on any issue or concern which pertains to the city during the portion of the council agenda devoted to introduction of visitors. All comments shall be directed to the chair in a reasonable time limit of approximately 5 minutes will be imposed. If there's a group, please appoint a spokesperson. Speakers should approach the rear left microphone and state their name and address so it can be entered in the minutes. Members of the public will be afforded the opportunity to comment on other portions of the meeting as determined by the chair or by a vote of the majority of council members present. Is there anybody that wishes to address council at this time? If not, I have two requests that were emailed in, and I'll read those at this time. The first one we have is from Pat Walker at 523 East Friendship Street, Medina, Ohio 44256. It says, John Coyne, President, Medina City Council. Dear President Coyne, Moving the Medina Municipal Court to the 1969 County Courthouse is a waste of the citizens' money. The Medina Municipal Court must not need additional space if the needs will be satisfied with less space than the municipal court has now. The county commissioners said during their meeting on January 5th that the 1969 courthouse has 14,600 square feet that is not public space, including the 2,300 square foot county law library. The current Medina Municipal Court occupies 13,500 square feet. That is 1,200 square feet more than the space that is available at the 1969 courthouse. For the city of Medina to spend any money to have the municipal court with substantially less space than the court currently occupies is a waste of the people's money. All those is a great opinion, but I guess I just want to give some fact checks here on the information that was given. We did some checking also to make sure that the space at the 1969 building was adequate to serve us, and each floor of the 1969 courthouse currently has 9,000 square feet, which all three floors adds up to 27,000 square feet. Less than 2,300 square feet by the law library leaves approximately 24,700 square feet of space. We currently occupy 13,500, and with over 24,000 square feet, that's an additional 9,500 square feet of space that the municipal court, Medina Municipal Court, will have if it moves to the 1969 courthouse building. So I think there's additional space as we validated the facts with the county. It's additional space that we don't have currently, so it's bigger than we currently have by 9,500 square feet. And of course, we would share in the entryways with the guarded entryways with the sally port, which is additional square footage that we won't have to build because we'd be sharing that with the county. The second letter I have to read into the minutes is from the Court of Common Pleas, the Domestic Relations Division. It was addressed to the Medina County Commissioners, but was asked to be read into the minutes of our meeting. It's for the proposed Medina County Courthouse plans. It's addressed to Commissioners Swedick, Hambley, and Hudson. It came from Mary Kovac at the Domestic Relations Court. She states that I have had a chance to review the most recent plans submitted to the construction of the new and the renovation of the old Medina County Courthouse. I am writing to formally offer you cost-effective alternatives to your current plan and to let you know that if you deem them acceptable, then the Domestic Relations Division will not be relocating from the second floor of the 1841 Old Courthouse. The space that the Domestic Relations Division currently occupies, while imperfect, is sufficient to meet our needs. As a self-contained division of the Common Pleas Court, I have suggested for many years now that the most economical way to improve our space would be to move out of the courthouse and into an existing space elsewhere in Medina. That issue that I have is not with the square footage, but is with the functionality of the space and the safety of the public, the victims of domestic violence, and the litigants and attorneys who appear in our court along with my staff and myself. The Domestic Relations Division does not need fancy or new facilities. If, however, you feel that it is appropriate to spend taxpayer money on a new courthouse, especially in these difficult economic times, please instruct your architects to adjust their plans to relocate the Domestic Relations Division into a first and second floors of either the 1841 or the 1969 courthouse, and to relocate the probation department into the space allocated to the Domestic Relations Division. According to the most recent plans, there can be a single point of ingress and egress, as evidenced by the second floor proposed ingress to the probation department on both the first and second floors from the new courthouse into the old courthouse. This should allow the security operations and ADA compliance to be consolidated and streamlined through the new courthouse. Please note that the old courthouse can be closed off from the 1969 courthouse by simply closing a few doors and locking them. Please also note that this proposal will result in a relatively equal exchange of square footage. At the Commissioners' meeting on January 5th, 2021, the County Administrator represented that the Domestic Relations Division currently occupies 6,500 square feet of space on the second floor, of which 4,400 square feet are non-public space. The same is true for the first floor of the old courthouse, which is currently occupied by the Juvenile and Probate Court. This would mean that the Domestic Relations Division would occupy approximately 13,000 square feet of space, of which approximately 8,800 square feet would be non-public. The new courthouse plans call for the Domestic Relations Division to occupy 13,500 square feet of space, of which 11,500 feet would be non-public. If the Domestic Relations Division remains in the old courthouse, Please also instruct your architects to abandon any of their plans they may have to renovate the old courthouse, as this should save taxpayers several $1,000,000. I feel that this is a reasonable alternative, given that you have already rejected my suggestion to move the Domestic Relations Division into the 1969 courthouse, which would have reduced the overall size of the project and would have saved the taxpayers roughly $8 million. Whether the Domestic Relations Division stays in the 1841 courthouse or is relocated into the 1969 courthouse, the taxpayers could have saved millions of dollars on this $30 million discretionary project. Instead, despite the wishes of the voters, the current plan is to relocate the Medina Municipal Court into the 1969 courthouse so that parcels where the current municipal court is located can be sold to developers by the city of Medina. The Domestic Relations Division serves more citizens than any court in the county courthouse, and we should be allocated functional and safe space for this types of cases we handle. And I cannot help but notice that you have changed the plans for the Domestic Relations Division's location and layout at least 8 times over the last 2 years in order to accommodate the wants of the division. Again, this is about functionality and safety, not about fancy or new. Given the above, I respectfully suggest that you redirect the funding that you may have allocated to renovate the old courthouse and use it for more appropriate things, especially given the uptick in domestic violence incidents, cases, and gaps in funding to support the victims' advocates, which the county prosecutor recently brought to your attention, such as reallocating funds to allow the Domestic Relations Division to hire a full-time domestic violence magistrate, a position that is similar to what has been previously funded by the OVW Justice for Families federal grant, who can help and assist families and children who are victims of domestic violence, providing additional support and funding of the Domestic Relations Division Supervised Parenting Time and Safe Exchange Center, providing additional funding to the Prosecutor's Office of Victim Advocates, reallocating funding for the Department of Job and Family Services to help families and children who have been adversely affected by the COVID-19 pandemic, and reallocating funding for the Office of Older Adults and for the Veteran Service Office for help those in need. 3 proposals on the table. 1, keeping the Domestic Relations Division in 1841 courthouse by occupying the first and second floors instead of space snaking through the old and into the new courthouse. Moving the Domestic Relations Division into the first and second floors of the 1969 courthouse and keeping things pretty much as they are, as is, or moving the Domestic Relations Division into a different building altogether. In any event, if any of those options are acceptable to you, then the Domestic Relations Division will not be relocating from the second floor of the 1841 courthouse and will not be requiring any improvements. We will make do with what we have, even if imperfect, and we will continue to do so if needed. I appreciate your attention to this matter. Sincerely, Judge Mary Kovac. I have one correction in the letter that is a factual matter for the city of Medina. Mary Kovac indicates that we plan to move into the 1969 building so that we can sell the parcels next to the existing municipal court to developers. I don't think there's any plan that the city of Medina has in selling any of the land next to the city that the current municipal court resides on. We do have a plan, however, to collaborate with the county of Medina and allow additional functions of the county, whether it be the Board of Elections or otherwise, to move back into the city and use that space for purposes as it would be in the downtown area. So that's the one correction I have. So those are the 2 things. I don't have anything else, I believe. Ms. Patton, is there anything else on Facebook that needs to be read into the minutes?
No.
Okay, thank you. Introduction and consideration of ordinances and resolutions. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to suspend the rules requiring 3 readings on the following ordinances and resolutions. Ordinance 621, Ordinance 721, Ordinance 821, Resolution 921, Ordinance 1021, Ordinance 1121, Ordinance 1221, and Ordinance 1321.
I will make a motion to suspend the rules requiring 3 readings of tonight's ordinances and resolutions.
Second?
Is there any discussion on the motion to suspend the rules? Will the clerk please call the roll on the adoption of the motion?
Hazeltine,
Yes.
Heffinger,
Yes.
Lamb,
Yep.
Lamb,
Yes.
Rose,
Yes.
Fields,
Yes.
Simpson,
Yes.
Coin.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Ordinance 621, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract for fire services with Montville Township.
Move to approve.
Second?
Discussion, Mayor Hamwell?
Thank you, Mr. President. So Montville Township has already unanimously approved and signed the contract. It's for fire services for 4 years, this year, 2022, 2023, 2024. We changed the way the billing is working a little bit. Instead of just a flat fee for probably 5 decades, there's been a model that's worked very well with LST based on the percentage of calls. So we looked at the calls for the past 3 years of each of the contracts, and they were within 1% of each other year to year. So our plan is to take the annual budget of the City of Medina Fire Department, not the capital account, but the operational account, and then divide that by the calls for service. And each of the townships will then pay for their share, and the City of Medina will pay for ours. We think it's much fairer that way.
Thank you. Any questions? Will the clerk please call the roll on the adoption of the ordinance?
Heffinger,
Yes.
Ham,
Yes.
Rose,
Yes.
Shields,
Yes.
Simpson,
Yes.
Coin,
Yes.
Hazeltine.
Yes.
Ordinance 621 passes 7-0.
Ordinance 721, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract for fire services with Medina Township.
Move to approve.
Second?
Mayor Hamwell?
Much the same. They passed this unanimously and signed it already. It's for the same 4 years of service, and the billing process is exactly what I described in the previous ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Will the clerk please call the roll on the adoption of the ordinance?
Lamb,
Yes.
Rose,
Yes.
Shields,
Yes.
Simpson,
Yes.
Coin,
Yes.
Hazeltine,
Yes.
Heffinger.
Yes.
Ordinance 721 passes 7-0.
Ordinance 821, an ordinance authorizing the payment of $30,000 to Main Street Medina for the city's membership renewal.
Move to approve.
Second?
Discussion. Mayor Hamwell?
Thank you, Mr. President. As I stated in the finance meeting, I would strongly encourage the council to approve this $30,000 expenditure for our sponsorship of Main Street Medina. Main Street Medina has been a great benefit to the city, both for activities and events, as well as support of our businesses. And this year was a real challenge for all of us with the COVID-19. And yet, Matt and George and the board for Main Street has found a way, with the health department's blessing, to continue to have the farmers market, to continue to have events, to adjust how those events are happening, but yet to do it safely and in mind of the COVID protocols. And as a result, some of the things that were learned this year may carry on to future years. But I just commend the board and Matt and George for all they did to keep our downtown vital and our businesses strong. And I think Matt would also like to speak, if that's okay.
Sure.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. President and members of Medina City Council, first, on behalf of Main Street Medina, I'd like to thank you for your partnership since 2007, and thank you for your consideration of renewing your support as we enter our 14th year focused on historic preservation, targeted marketing of Medina as a destination, and creating a vibrant business community. I'm also very proud to share that I believe that this is our 8th year of 100% occupancy, if Ms. Marshall can confirm that. So that doesn't mean that we haven't lost businesses, but that means that we do not have vacancies within our downtown district. Real quick, I'd also like to introduce Eric Stasiowski, our incoming chair. He'll take over at the end of the month. So we're looking forward to Eric's ideas and keeping us moving forward. Real quick, Mr. President, in 2020, as the mayor said, COVID-19 and coronavirus really affected how we did our work and what we did. We canceled all of our major special events and shifted focus to business support and connections to resources, including a weekly email newsletter specifically geared to the district business community. Recently, in partnership with the Chamber, we implemented a Yifty online digital gift card for member businesses to drive shopping local to our businesses. During the shutdowns, we created a dedicated webpage to promote all City of Medina restaurants with takeout options and curbside service during the shutdowns. We arranged for dedicated parking for restaurant takeout in the district. We did produce a total of 22 special events, such as First Friday and Ladies' Night Out, which attracted around 64,000 guests to Medina. We've produced targeted Shop Local campaigns focused on the faces and friends of Medina and the economic impact of keeping your dollars local. In 2020, we completely restructured the Medina Square Farmers Market, and we hired a wonderful new part-time manager who's doing a fantastic job. As the mayor said, we had to revisit how we did events. This year, we restructured the 3-day Medina Candlelight Walk into an 8-week-long hometown holiday celebration. And with sponsorships and other support, we were able to put together a $12,000 marketing and outreach campaign promoting Medina as a quality and safe daytime trip holiday destination. One of our great partnerships has been that of the Medina County Fair, and this year we helped promote the drive-through lights at the fair, and they had a record 8,200 cars go through the fairgrounds this year. The holiday campaign was very successful, with some businesses reporting sales better in 2020 than they've had in any year past during Candlelight Walk, and most reporting that the Small Business Saturday was their best ever. In addition to the marketing campaign and sponsorship, we raised an additional $10,000 through 2 major sources to revamp the holiday decorations throughout the district, and were able to extend those into Southtown. Even with 2 months of closures, takeout only, and all the challenges we faced as a community in 2020, not only did we not lose any businesses to COVID-19 issues, we celebrated several new businesses that invested and opened in Medina, including the Exchange Market, the Farmer's Table, 1904 Brews, Medina Brewing Company, Sweets and Geeks, Mad Brewing Company, Habitat for Humanity Restore, Ohio Valley Pizza Company, and several others. And this was all done in harmony and partnership with the City of Medina and the Greater Medina Chamber of Commerce. Looking forward, we're currently doing some online surveys to get important feedback from our constituents, as our board will create our 3-year strategic plan that'll help secure what we do for the next 3 years. We also secured $32,000 in facade and signage grant dollars through Heritage Ohio to help fund exterior improvements on 17 businesses. That is private investment still occurring even in one of the most challenging economic times of our generation. Going forward, with guidelines established between Main Street Medina and the City of Medina with Medina County Health Department, we are planning to return to large-scale special events in 2021 beginning in June. 2020 was not the year we anticipated a year ago, but we came through stronger and more vibrant than ever. At the end of the year, we're still happy to report that Main Street Medina has directly brought roughly $650,000 of economic impact into the city. So, Mr. President, thank you for your consideration of your renewal of your membership and support, and we look forward to working with you in 2021.
Thank you, and thank you for all what you do and what the board does for the City of Medina. It has really made us a destination community in Northeast Ohio, and that's great. Any further discussion? Mr. Simpson?
Mr. President?
Go ahead, Eric.
Mr. Heffinger?
Thank you. I just wanted to say that I think this is one of the best investments that we can do as a city. Main Street Medina has brought so much connectiveness between the businesses, the unionization between them all, that we can work together even through these difficult, hard times. We still have everybody, the city, Main Street Medina, the businesses all working together. This is exactly what we invest in for, so that when hard times come upon us, that we're not falling apart. So I think this is a great vote for the city. I think this is what we need to do. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, George. Thank you, everybody that works for Main Street Medina and it's on the board. I think you're doing amazing jobs.
Thank you. Mr. Simpson?
Thank you, Mr. President. Matt, every year I say I'm just so impressed with the job that you and the board accomplish every year. And every year that follows, you cease to amaze me. Eric, you got some big shoes to fill there. Welcome. And I had the pleasure of working with George, and I'm sorry, but I can't remember your new farmer's market part-time manager's name, but she's just a sweetheart. Such
Angela.
a great, what is it? Angela, thanks. Why couldn't I remember Angela? Angel. But anyhow, she just had such a wonderful personality, and I'm sure that the vendors that were there last year and that will be back this year, and hopefully new vendors this year, they're going to find her personality very welcoming. Again, thank you. It's one of the proudest votes that I have every year to support this, and continued success to all of you. Thanks.
Thank you. Any additional council comments? Will the clerk please call the roll on the adoption of the ordinance?
Rose.
Yes.
Fields.
Yes.
Gibson.
Yes.
Coin.
Yes.
Hazeltine.
Yes.
Heffinger.
Yes.
Lamb.
Yes.
Ordinance 821 passes 7-0.
Resolution 921, a resolution accepting the grant award from the Ohio Law Enforcement Body Armor Program to purchase body armor vests for the police department.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion. Chief Kinney.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is our annual Bureau of Workers' Comp Body Worn Armor Program. It's acceptance of the grant.
Thank you. Any further discussion on the resolution? Will the clerk please call the roll on the adoption of the resolution?
Fields.
Yes.
Simpson.
Yes.
Coin.
Yes.
Hazeltine.
Yes.
Heffinger.
Yes.
Lamb.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Resolution 921 passes 7-0.
Ordinance 1021, an ordinance authorizing expenditure to Central Square Technologies for the subscription and annual maintenance agreement for computer-aided dispatch and report management system for the police department.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion. Chief Kenny.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is a maintenance contract for our computer-aided dispatch system.
Thank you. Any further discussion on the ordinance? Will the clerk please call the roll on the adoption of the ordinance?
Simpson.
Yes.
Coin.
Yes.
Hazeltine.
Yes.
Heffinger.
Yes.
Lamb.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Fields.
Yes.
Ordinance 1021 passes 7-0.
Ordinance 1121, an ordinance approving the replat of City Hall and abutting city property, city lots 9372, 9373, and 9374, and authorizing the mayor to sign the plat as the city's designated representative.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Patton.
Thank you. This plat has to do with the city hall and adjoining areas. When completed, the 3 lots, one will be the city hall building itself. The second will be the new parking deck. The third will be the northern half of the parking lot between Sully's and Porter's. It's anticipated that after that lot's created, we'll come back and ask you to transfer that lot to the MCDC.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Will the clerk please call the roll on the adoption of the ordinance?
Coin.
Yes.
Hazeltine.
Yes.
Heffinger.
Yes.
Yes.
Lamb. Rose.
Yes.
Fields.
Yes.
Simpson.
Yes.
Ordinance 1121 passes 7-0.
Ordinance 1221, ordinance amending ordinance number 21720 passed December 14th, 2020, amendments to the 2021 budget.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Durham.
Thank you, Mr. President. These are transfers of appropriations in the police department and fire department for a vehicle and for AEDs.
Thank you. Any further discussion on the ordinance? Will the clerk please call the roll on the adoption of the ordinance?
Hazeltine.
Yes.
Heffinger.
Yes.
Lamb.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Fields.
Yes.
Simpson.
Yes.
Coin.
Yes.
Ordinance 1221 passes 7-0.
Ordinance 1321, ordinance authorizing the finance director to make certain fund transfers.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Durham.
Thank you, Mr. President. We, per our joint operating agreement for the rec center, we have an annual transfer of $100,000 to the capital fund. This is to authorize that transfer.
Thank you. Any further discussion on the ordinance? Will the clerk please call the roll on the adoption of the ordinance?
Heffinger.
Yes.
Lamb.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Fields.
Yes.
Simpson.
Yes.
Coin.
Yes.
Hazeltine.
Yes.
Ordinance 1321 passes 7-0.
Thank you. Now we have council comments. Before we start, I just want Mr. Simpson to stand up and show his shirt. This is kind of an important thing. I mean, he takes it to heart evidently because he's wearing a shirt.
There's a real quick story. My wife and I always say be kind to one another. And, you know, it's my soapbox, you know. My wife and I ended up having to take one of our cats to Dr. Kelly Parker on West Smith Road, Medina Veterinary Clinic. And I seen a sign and the shirt hanging on the wall saying, you know, for a donation, you can have this shirt and pass it along. So I picked up this shirt that says, just be nice. The back says, it's just that easy. The cool thing about this is Dr. Parker said that during the pandemic, everybody's nerves have been and tempers have been shortened. And she had some clients that were a little short with her because of their waiting time in the waiting room and stuff. So she went to Eye Candy and had these shirts printed up. The cool thing is, for a donation, you can get a shirt, and the donations go to different charities in Medina County, including Feeding Medina County. So if you're interested, it's West Smith Road. I'm not sure of the address, but it's right by the fairgrounds. Dr. Kelly Parker, Medina Veterinary Clinic. So that's all I have. Just be nice. Thank you.
Thank you. Additional council comments?
Mr. President.
Mr. Shields?
Two things. One, quickly, I just want to, I'm sure Mr. Wetzel's watching. This is one of the few times we had no emergency
You're
clauses.
right.
Usually we're
Exactly.
apologizing to Mr. Wetzel, our former colleague, about the emergency clause. So, Mr. Wetzel, if you're watching, I hope you notice that we started the year out, no emergency clause. The second thing, I just want to give a thank you to the health department. On Saturday, they ran a vaccine clinic for those county residents over 80 at the fairgrounds. It was so well organized, had so many great people assisting. I just want to thank the health department. I work with them in my day job every day, and I've been so impressed with how helpful they are, and I know that staff has had no rest during this time. But they did such a nice job on Saturday. It went so well, and it just gave me hope. It was everybody that was there, the 80-year-old residents and above that were getting their shot, it gave them hope that better days are ahead. So I just wanted to thank the health department, all the volunteers, and especially the health commissioner, Krista Wasowski, for just a great job on Saturday with the vaccine clinic. Thank you.
Thank you. Additional council comments? Mr. Lamb?
Go ahead, Paul.
Mr. Rose?
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. President. Okay. First of all, if you were listening closely, you saw that the Liberty View apartments were awarded to Rose Properties. No relation whatsoever. I just want to make that clear. I don't want to find out that somebody's saying, oh, they got it because. No relation, no connection, nothing. Any questions on that? Okay, thank you. All right. Secondly, on a little more serious note, but almost as serious, we're starting to see things happening out in the rest of the world. It kind of goes with Denny's, but maybe towards the other side, and that's silencing of a voice. I tend to be conservative, but you're looking out there in the world and you're seeing conservative type things being silenced in one way, shape, or form. And I just want you to look at history and look what happens. They start silencing one voice, and then another voice, and then another voice, until there's just one voice heard and nobody else's voice is being heard at all. We in the United States are very, very lucky to have freedom of speech. And when you hear college professors saying that conservatives need to be reprogrammed because they're using their freedom of speech, that is a very, very scary bell being rung. And we, as a society, we here in Medina County, whether we're right or left, and I think Jess will agree with me on this, we need to exercise our voice, listen to each other, be kind to each other, and respectfully disagree. No more of this balamut that, I said it, that we're going to violate you in some way, shape, or form because you disagree with me. No, we're going to agree to disagree. We're going to agree and disagree politely. We're going to be kind to each other, but don't silence the voices, because as soon as we do, all you're going to hear is stuff that you don't want to hear, and will no longer be a free society. and that ties in with the courthouse. Listen to all sides, because we're starting to get bombarded with, you listen to what the people are saying, that's their perception, their facts are completely and totally incorrect. If you listen to the one letter that was written to the courthouse, it sounds to me like she doesn't want anything but her own courthouse, and that's not the way you work together as a community. You work together as a community by sharing resources, working to get the right financial plan, right building plan, right social plan together for everybody, not so that one person can feed their own ego, in my opinion, to build their own courthouse. And then to tie into Matt's thing, thank you to all who've spent your money in our city to keep our businesses going. That's great. That's another thing that will help us as a society, help us as Medina to continue to grow and be the great place that it is. Thank you.
Thank you. Additional council comment, Mr. Hevinger.
Thank you, Mr. President. I got a lot of things to list off. First off, I want to thank Jared's team, Nino's team, everybody that works at City Hall that has been put up with the construction that's been going on for months, 2 months now or so. Thank you all for putting up with that. It looks beautiful. I'm not there with you, but I can see it, and I love it. It looks great. So thank you for your time. Thank you for your effort. Thank you for all of it. I want to thank Nancy for her hard work at the municipal court over all these years. And I want to welcome Joe to the Medina Municipal Court. I also want to thank the Main Street Medina, because as I said earlier, I think what they're doing is amazing, and I can't speak enough of all the great things that they have done for our business community. I want to thank the health department for all they're doing to vaccinate our community. Every single day they're getting thousands of calls, and they are stepping up and doing everything they can. For a Medina Municipal Court, I really think this move is really important to us. And there's a lot of information going around, but I want the community to know that we are number one, preserving the 1969 courthouse. This is a building that, originally the county said that they wanted to destroy because they had no use for it. If we put a facility in there that is continuously used, that preserves the courthouse and uses it on a daily basis and keeps our square as it is. I want to point out that this saves the city money in the long term. We need to preserve our taxpayer dollars. And so if it costs us more to build it on our own, or we can move to the 69 courthouse and save, $1 million or whatever it may be, I want to save that money and preserve our square at the same time. And I also want everybody to know that if we move to the 1969 courthouse in the square, that opens up the facility that we currently own for other county offices, which saves the county and the city money in the long term. That's taxpayer dollars that is saved by everybody. That's a great idea. Lastly, I want everyone to know that we are in a time where people are spouting a lot of, I'm going to use the term fake news, but we're hearing fake news constantly, and we are asked to just believe whoever we're getting it from. We have to be smart electors, smart voters, and we have to educate ourselves on where we're getting this information from. What's happened with the riots at the National Capitol before the inauguration and whatnot, it scares me as an American and where we're going, because we are so reluctant to listen to a different point of view, to sit down and talk to each other. It's Councilman Simpson says this every 2 weeks that we're together. We have to be kind to each other, but we also have to listen to each other. We don't have to agree with each other. That's fine, but we don't have to just treat each other badly. And there's so much that we can do to fix what's going on in America at our local level. I don't know what the direct answer is, but I know there is right and there's wrong and there's truth and there's lies. And there's a lot of people in the world that would rather use a lie to get power. And I would ask you to please take the time and consider that your neighbors are not your enemies. Your neighbors are your friends. They want this community to survive. They want to thrive. They want this country to thrive. So take the time to talk to one another and not just avoid each other because somebody flew a flag in their front yard or had a yard sign that you disagreed with. The election's over, but together we could still make America great in every single way. And we should just talk and communicate with each other. And it's been hard during this pandemic because we've been locked inside of our houses. And I think it's made it worse in some ways. But that hopefully will be coming to an end as we get the vaccine distributed into the community. And I'm hoping by summer, fall, we could start to be as normal again. Maybe not. It might be another year, but I just hope that we take the time to really listen to each other and realize that what we're doing, what we're saying on social media versus what we actually do in real life, these things affect us. And we need to take the time to realize that it's not just at a national level. It's not just because you hate one politician or another. It affects you in the individual level in your community. And we need that connectedness. We need to be together. And eventually, real soon, hopefully, I hope we can hold our events and come together again. So thank you to everybody that's put up with this pandemic and has worked so hard to make everything normal, even though it's not. It's been hard. It's been real hard. But I think that eventually, in the next year or so, we will get back to what it's supposed to be. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Additional council comments? Mrs. Hazeltine?
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I'm going to cut in front of Bill. I'm doing it. That's right. Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to, echo everything that everyone else has said. I told you last meeting I vowed to try not to repeat myself, so I'm going to stick just to the facts. I do want to address my ward directly for a moment to make sure that this is getting out. I am ecstatic about the new apartment and boutique shop that's going up right by City Hall and the Sully's lot there. But a lot of people in Ward 1 have expressed our lack of affordable housing. So I want the residents of Ward 1 to know that, yes, I hear you and I'm acknowledging you and I am working on that. That is something that is never far from my mind, given my history with the Recovery Center. So I do hear those concerns and I am constantly working for you. So please feel free to contact me other than the people that I've already talked to. Please keep that line of communication open because I do want you to know that I am here to work for you. Secondly, I'm just glad that the election is over and everything is done and we are good and we can start fresh. And that is all I have for today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Lamb.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just have a couple quick comments, I guess. I have a friend who lives within view of Niagara Falls, and she used to tell me that she would go months at a time, and although she was within view of Niagara Falls, which is one of the wonders of the world, she would forget to look at it because it was just too close to home. And it's a good thing to keep in mind. I was in town, Matt, today with my wife, and we got some olive oil, got a scarf for my sister. I got my hair done at the hairstylist, stopped at a couple other stores. And I am always trying to remind myself, and I think it's important to do, what a wonderful place we live in. This is no happy accident that we have this city and its functionality and the way it works. And one of the things I heard when you spoke and when other people spoke tonight is so much about partnership and all the things we can really accomplish if we just work together. And the success of this community is based on that idea of working together. Whether it's working with you or in Main Street, which is an integral part really of the success of the downtown, the mayor with the administration, city council working together, the courthouse project that we have worked on, as the president of council has mentioned, for 20 years to put a package together where you have city council, you have the administration, you have the judge, you have the county commissioners, all on the same page working together. And what you get when you have that partnership, the amazing thing that the economy of the downtown, what Main Street has done during a pandemic, the worst crisis in 100 years, and the success that has been pulled out, You didn't do it alone. You did it with a lot of energy, but with a lot of cooperation through a partnership. And so I try to remind myself when I'm downtown, when I go downtown here, how lucky I am to live here and to have this viewscape and have the vitality and the energy of a living place that's beautiful and works. And I have it's a blessing really that this is where you are. But it doesn't happen by accident. And everybody is a part of it to make it work. I have a house on a mountain in North Carolina, and when I get busy there, sometimes I forget to look at the opening in the trees where I can see 100 miles because I get busy. And it's good to remind ourselves we live in an amazingly wonderful place with a lot of people working hard together to make all this come together for our community. Thank you.
Thank you. And with that, the meeting is adjourned.